under which we have covered several topics, just like the importance of inventory, what are the functions of inventory, what are the different types of inventory, and what are the different type of inventory control. Even in few sessions, I have also covered economic order quantity, how to calculate the economic order quantity. Now, in a second course, we have an important topic like supply chain management. Before starting, let us brief you why we need this topic. Supply chain management is a topic which is a very important topic for inventory and stores management, because it covers various aspects. So in today's session, we will cover the definition of supply chain management. Another term which I will introduce, that is a development chain. Then we will discuss why there is a need of supply chain management. And in the last, we will cover what are the benefits of supply chain management. Let me first introduce that why there is a need of a supply chain. There are 4 big companies: Boeing Aircraft, US Surgical Corporation, IBM, big computer giant, and Intel. These all 4 companies were doing very well, and they were leader in their respective markets. But what happened? The Boeing aircraft, because of the raw material shortages, their productivity decreases. Second, US Surgical Corporation, they have anticipated the large inventory that leads to the shortfall in the sales and earnings. Same thing happened in IBM. There was a shortage in the supply because they were not able to estimate what is the different type, what is the number of different quantities for producing one unit. And same thing happened with the Intel, because they were unable to match their supply with the demand. So there was a decline in their profit, and that was a 38%. Now, let me explain you what is supply chain. Nowadays, everybody is talking about the supply chain and supply chain management. In a plain or in a layman language, as you have seen in the figure, we have a manufacturer, we have a supplier, we have a distributor, we have a customer. So all parties involved directly or indirectly in fulfilling a customer demand, because just like manufacturer or the dealer, he or she is directly associated with the customer demand. But if you just say that packing material, they are not directly involved, but still if they are producing something, it is indirectly affecting the supply chain. Therefore, all the parties, whether they are involved directly or indirectly, are the part of the supply chain. So basically there are 6 components: your manufacturer, supplier, transporter, warehouse, then distributor or retailer, and then finally your customer. So these are the 6 components of any supply chain. So what is happening in a supply chain? We are producing raw material from the mines. Different types of sources are there. We will produce certain products. They may be semi-finished or finished. Then when we'll have the product, we will ship the product to the warehouses for the intermediate storage, and finally ship the product to the final customer, or even we are going to the customer through distributor or the retailer. I just want to explain one of the biggest supply chain for a soap industry. If you just see this figure, on the left side you have a Procter & Gamble, who is a manufacturing or the soap. Now from there it will go to a mall or retailer. I have taken as a jewel as a retailer shop. Then it will go to the supermarket, and from there it goes to the customer. It can be direct retailer to the customer. Now what are the different components of a soap? Plastic producer, then some packaging and some chemical. So these are the three basic components. Now chemical industry is producing certain items. Paper industry or the paper manufacturing taking papers from the timber industry they are giving. So they are combining at certain places, that is called the Procter & Gamble, and then it goes to the customer. You will appreciate that the supply chain start working only when the customer visit the shop or the retail or the supermarket, because without moving the customer it is very difficult of any movement in the supply chain. So if we just see the definition of a supply chain is nothing but a flow of goods, services that includes all the processes that transform raw material into the final products. Now, why there is a need of a supply chain or supply chain management? I have pointed out 8 points. The first one is your operation. Operation means the processing of raw material into the semi-finished or the finished good. So why we said that the supply chain management helps in improving the operation? Because when you make a balance between supply and demand by properly coordinating between the supplier, vendors, dealers, retailers, you have a clear information about the customer demand. So what is happening? You are conveying the exact data to the shop floor through distributor or the retailer. If suppose you are not getting the correct information about the customer demand, what will happen? You will unnecessarily either make the product or you will not make the product. If you make the product and it is not in demand, what will happen? Your product will remain unsold. In second type, when you do not make the product, what is happening? There is a demand, but customer is not getting any product of his or her choice. So what will happen? Customer will go somewhere else, or your operation will hamper. So that is why if you have a proper supply chain for maintaining the operation or improving the operation, you need a supply chain. Second is increasing the level of outsourcing. We have discussed that supply chain also tells you what to make inside and what to buy from outside. Because you have a system, you know your capability, you know what type of operation you can perform in your shop floor. And certain operation, here we say that only put emphasis on your core competency. For example, if a automobile company has the core competency in manufacturing cars, in making engines, so they are not going to devote time on the tire manufacturing or the transportation. So what they will do? They will outsource, or they will have another vendor who will supply the tires. Similarly, your glasses. The glass is not a core competency for a four-wheeler car manufacturer. So what they will do? They will simply outsource it. So here what you are doing, that you are increasing the level of outsourcing and you are allowing to focus on your core competency, because it is waste of time to put energy and the resources on activities which are not the core competency of your company. Another point which will emphasize the need of supply chain is increasing the transportation cost. Now, every day the price of diesel and the gasoline is increasing. So you need to optimize it. Now, what is the need of optimizing? First thing, having a better supply chain coordination. You will have the reliable supplier or the vendors. Every time you will try to optimize the transportation cost, and that is why we need a supply chain management. Another important point is enhancing the competitive pressure. Today, we are not working in a nationalized way. We are working globally. Our all activities are seen or observed by the companies across the globe. So what is happening? That when you have a better supply chain, when you are projecting yourself in a better position, your market share is improving because of your better supply chain management. You are going for a more competitive pressure, and when there is a more competitive pressure, you will try to involve or innovate new strategies to grab more market share. The fifth point is increasing globalization. Now, when you are producing certain items and you are getting customer outside your nation or the country, and another important point, that due to technological advancement, certain vendors are available across the globe. That expertise may or may not be available in your country. If you have a better supply chain management, why I am saying again and again better supply chain, that means when you have a supply chain, when you have a vendor, now there is a need to provide certain logistic to the vendor, because that vendor needs raw material. Similarly, the items which he is producing, that needs to come in your country within a very short period of time. Sixth point is increasing the importance of e-commerce. E-commerce means your online platform. You just take the example of any online company. What is happening? It is providing a comfort to our customer. He or she used to sit even on a mobile. He or she can order. Now, what is happening? When there is a increased importance of e-commerce, then on the back end, you need a better supply chain. Because once the customer pays the money online, the activities of the supply chain gets started. If I take example of any soap or a computer, you just take. Computer has basically 3 or 4 components: monitor, keyboard, your CPU, your central processing unit, then your UPS or stabilizer. So there are 4 components. So when a customer orders computer, all the 4 items goes to different suppliers. So it start working on that. It does not make any sense that Dell should keep the inventory for the monitor, should keep the inventory for keyboard, then mouse, then your stabilizer or CPU. So what they do, on the receipt of the payment, it goes directly to the orders to the different vendors, and they start working. And the same thing happen with their supplier. Suppose I take the example of a monitor. Monitor is not only the one entity, it comprised of several small components. So as the order reaches to the your Sony, your monitor making company, it will goes to the different its vendor. So at the last, there is no assembly point. The monitor will come directly to the ship with a barcode or RFID code. The CPU will also come, keyboards all will come, and they have the same barcode or the same, because they are going to unique customer. So when it reaches to the destination, all the 4 items will go to a single customer. So that is why I am saying that when you increase the importance of the e-commerce, there is a need of a better supply chain management. 7th is that as you are growing, as your e-commerce is growing, you always feel there is a complexity of supply chain. Earlier, what was happening? When you need a milk, you go to the milkman, you wait for there, and they will measure the quantity of the milk, and you come to your house. Now, what is now happening? That if you are going to a booth which is very near to your house, the milk pouches are coming early in the morning. Now, when they are coming from a small retailer, the big distributor will give to the retailer and the manufacturer will give to the distributor. So you just see that earlier there was no supply chain. Only you have to go to the milkman where he is taking milk from the cow or the buffalo. he will give after measuring the quantity. But now you have a flexibility. You can at any time, you can take any quantity of milk. So that why, and this will only possible when you have a better supply chain. Another important point is managing the inventories. In my earlier session, which is also the comes in the name of the program, that postgraduate certificate in inventory planning and warehousing system, the need of a supply chain is related to the inventory management, because there are several other terms which will come, just like lead time or maximum quantity or minimum quantity, reorder point. So the most important objective, that your shop floor should not be idle. When it is not idle, when the components of the raw material reaches to the shop floor without any delay. So for that, you have to measure the optimum value of lead time. That depends upon the certain factor, just like transit inventory, your distance from the factory, from the supplier or vendor. All things will depend, and on the basis of that you decide what should be your lead time, what should be your maximum inventory, and what should be minimum inventory. Another term which will come is a safety stock. Even if you have the lead time, it is quite possible due to uncertainty the items are not reaching. So for that, you need the safety stock that will manage the position when the item is not reaching. So what is happening in a supply chain? Basically, it is integrated your suppliers, manufacturer, warehouses and stores, and producing certain items and distributing. In place of item, we can say merchandise is produced and distributed. And the third important point is that we have to minimize the system-wide cost, because that is the optimum or the overall goal of any supply chain management. If we see and observe or make some observation from this definition, that we have to focus on the cost and we have to fulfill the customer requirement. Another important point, that supply chain management is not the individual approach, it is a system approach. Third important point, there are three levels. First is your operational level, second is your tactical level, and third is your strategical level. Day-to-day activities come under the operational level. If it is 1 week or 2 weeks, that comes under the tactical. But if it goes from 1 month to 1 year, then we take as a strategical activities. We have the supplier with whom we can have the arm's length relationship. We only hire them and then we say goodbye to them. They are called as a short term. Another type of supplier is a strategic supplier, with whom we can interact, we can take the help of their expertise. They are called as a strategic supplier. Now my question is that till now it seems that supply chain management is very easy, but it is not so. Supply chain management is very difficult because the supply chain management is also associated with the development chain. There are two objectives. One is your minimization of cost and another one is your maximization of service or maintaining the service. And another important point is that we also work on the global optimization. Global optimization means we have to minimize the system-wide cost. It is not like that we want to reduce the cost at the supplier end or the dealer end. We have to optimize the cost globally. Another important point which comes into the supply chain management is the uncertainty or the risk. Now, why there is a uncertainty? Because there is a uncertainty in the customer demand. There is a uncertainty in reaching the goods to the destination. Risk is always there because once we are outsourcing certain items, there are chances of lower quality or bad quality or untimely delivery of the product. The point which I was focusing earlier, that why the supply chain management is difficult, because there is also a chain, it is called as a development chain. Development chain is a set of activities which are associated with the production of a product. Now, I have divided into two categories. One is your product architecture, that what to make and what should be manufactured inside and what should buy from the outside. Just like we need the supplier, who will be our supplier, who will be supplier, and what should be the criteria for the supplier selection, and also the strategic partnership. If you just see the figure, this is the development chain which is coming, and if you just see the horizontal, it will give you the picture of a supply chain, that is supply, production, distribution and sale. This is a horizontal line which will give you the picture of a supply chain management. While plant, design, source or production, that is comes under the development chain. Hewlett-Packard is the first company which pointed out about the existence of the development chain. When they were manufacturing their inkjet printer, they were introducing, they found that the supply chain complexity depends upon the product architecture. If your product architecture is simple, your supply chain will be simple. If product architecture is complex, this will also be complex. So what is happening in a supply chain? There are three VPs, that is engineering, manufacturing and the supply chain management or logistic. All three VPs are thinking separately. The manufacturing or the engineering will focus on the development chain because he or she will be responsible for producing or designing or planning the product. The vice president of manufacturing is associated with the production or the manufacturing of the product. Finally, the vice president of the supply chain or logistic is responsible for fulfilling the customer demand. So there are different objectives. Just like supplier wants that manufacturer should always give them a large quantities. What manufacturer will do? They want the smooth production line. And beside that, both warehouse and the distributor will like to reduce the inventory. So you see that supply chain is a very complex network of facilities, and that is to disperse the large geographical area, even across the pan-India or across the world. I will take the complexity by giving you one example. There is a company called National Semiconductor, which is the largest chip maker company. Their competitors are Motorola and Intel. Their products are chip, cellular phone or computer. They have two fabrication units. One is in USA and another one is UK. They have a testing facility and assembling facility at China, Malaysia and Singapore. Their finished products are shipped to the Apple, Canon, Delphi, Ford, IBM, HP and Siemens. But in spite of that, they are not able to achieve 100% service level. With 5% service level, they can 95% service level with 45 days they can cover. Shipping, they are using 12 airline carriers and using 20,000 different routes. So you here just see the how complex is your supply chain. Now we will come to the benefits of supply chain management. There are 6 main benefits: the lower inventories, higher productivity, greater agility, shorter lead times, higher profits, and greater customer loyalty or the customer satisfaction. These are the few examples where with the better supply chain management they got the benefit in their supply chain or in their organization. So in today's session, what we have learned, that what is supply chain, why there is a need of a supply chain management. We have also learned what is development chain and what are the benefits of a supply chain management. I trust that my session will be helpful to you in studying and enhancing your capability in the area of supply chain management. Thank you.
Welcome learners. Today we will learn about ERP and its importance in the apparel industry. And we have with us Mr. Avadhesh Tyagi, an ERP consultant from New Delhi. He is working in the apparel industry since 1990 and has been helping apparel, home furnishings and leather product industry to implement IT solutions, especially ERP software for their better performance. He strongly believes that in today's age of competition, it is very necessary for the apparel exporters to know about ERP and to implement the latest technology for